All right, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started. First, I'd like to thank you all for being here today. It means a lot. And I'm just going to go over some beginner steps for Blueprint for everyone to have a successful fall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to kind of start from the beginning of things and work our way to the actual job level. So first and foremost, we're going to start with our My Designs. Now, the most important part when you are setting up your Blueprint for the first time is to make sure you utilize categorizations in your My Designs. This allows you to keep up with things a lot easier, so that way you don't have to go searching for them later. Two most important parts of our My Designs is everything that we can do as far as setting up dynamic graphics and things like that to pull in the information. So this is just a basic one I created just to be generic. Your subject data here, these text nodes are going to come from the data that you have put into the job. This way, this avoids any issues with parents entering in incorrect spellings or any nicknames that you would want to have. Player last name, year is studio supply. This is something that you can change from year to year, so that way it's not static on the graphic and you have to actually update the graphic. And your team name will come from the organization as well. With that being said, most important is mapping those nodes so that way parents aren't able to pick those image types you don't want them to pick for those particular types of nodes. So the most important part is mapping the group node to make sure that class or team image goes in the right spot. And to prevent any additional error, you would always map the primary image, particular image you would want to fit into this memory name. The most important part with your My Designs is we're going to make sure that you go through and label everything correctly. You notice that the title of this node is player's last name. So that way, if you have someone who's been working in Blueprint since the beginning, or if you have a new hire, they're going to know what to do as far as what node to edit when you tell them, hey, this needs to be updated for a font, a text size, or any other information you would need them to update. And I'm going to say this a few times through the recording, always make sure to sync, okay? So that being said, I want to move on to another part of our My Designs. It's a new feature we've actually been able to do with this year, and that is session fees. So a lot of people use session fees for seniors. We do have some success with people doing prepay to prepay a certain credit amount before the job becomes available. So that way they get their picture taken, and that credit is returned to the customer for them to use at checkout. It's a pretty interesting product. It's a non-print product because you don't want to collect an image for it. And this is also good for the customer service side. If you don't want them to go online to make this, you can have them contact a studio, or you can do it on site and enter this product so that way it gets applied to the subject. We'll talk a little bit about that later. So moving on with the workflow of how to get set up in Blueprint, you've created the products that you want to put on your price sheet now. Your price sheet is what you're going to attach to the job that is going to offer the parents what you want to offer them. So, your packages, your a la carte items, your coffee mugs, single sheets, all of that good stuff. So what I've done here is I've went ahead and created a package A. Now, there are a few things that you would want to do when setting up a package. You want to give it a price, you want to give it a name, you want to populate your products inside of that package as well. Now, as you can see, there is some green here and there is some black here. We'll talk a little bit more about that. When you see green, this means this came from a lab. So that means that this particular item you have in your package is going to automate to the lab without you having to manually process an order or print out an invoice to do that. Your memory mate here that we chose from our My Designs is going to be pointed to a lab because you want to create that design, but you don't want to have to fulfill it yourself. What you'll do is you'll say, I want this to go to this particular product in fulfillment. You'll select your lab, you'll select the product that you would like it to go to. Once you've selected that product, you'll simply click on it, select product, and it will apply. When you know that you've done this, you will see that this design is now pointed to that Richmond Ford lab counterpart. Now, the most important part about setting up categories is that you want to offer incentives, right? So there's a few categories that we have here. We have an a la carte, an add-on, and a freebie category. So What we do here is our a la carte category would be your standard pricing for a single sheet or a single unit. This is just pricing just to fill in. This is not something that I did the research to find out how much would actually be. However, the difference is that when you go to add-ons, that's a drastically different price. And we've set up a requirement that says you must purchase a package or you must purchase an a la carte item, just so that way they can't get that $15 print and that's the only sale that you make. Our freebies, though, is a bit different. We don't want them to keep getting freebies because this costs everyone to print. So what we've done is we've told our offer to say no more than one of these items may be purchased. So this means that once they've made their package purchase or they've met a minimum amount of $35, they can have that one item and then it'll lock the category back up. So this will prevent someone from getting like 12 8x10s for free. So it's really good to incentivize to get people to order, but we can also prevent the abuse from it. A few other things I want to touch on is session fees. Now, that's where we created our My Designs, that senior session fee that we can use to collect a payment ahead of time and then turn around and apply it as a credit to the parent when they go back to order. So we've said it's just a standard $25 deposit. We've actually removed it from the shopping cart because we don't want the parent to go online and do this. We actually want this done in-house. So what we'll do is in our next step, we'll go through what the job process will look like after I show you how to set up the discount code that will give that parent that credit back when they go to checkout after purchasing this. And this is the discount code. Now, there's been some talks about some new features with our discount codes. We've been sending out some emails, but this is a very important one that I really want to touch base on, is that it's based on order. So when your CSM or when your customer service rep enters this senior session fee, we will have attached it to a discount code that will take that $25 credit and apply it to their next order. And it's totally auto-generated. So there's absolutely nothing the parent would need to enter in. They would just enter the gallery once the images are ready, make their selection, and that discount code will apply automatically. One more thing is our image options. Now, your image options are the most important part of getting retouching and breaks removal and any other type of image service that you would want to offer to the parent. Now, there's two types. There is a single toggle, which is a yes or no. And then there is a combo. This allows you to list selections, so they're not selecting a single yes or no for 4 different options on the same image. This will help you streamline your image service fulfillment and make it easier on you as the studio or the lab to handle. And always, always, always remember, hit sync. So I'm just going to sync this. What I want to do now is show you how we created the discount code for this session fee. So let's go to that really quickly. So we'll go to our shopping cart. We're going to go to create discount codes. What we would do here is we would have it already set up. This is the code that will apply to the subject when that based on order is generated. So when you click on the discount code, you give it its name, 15-character limit. We have told the order that we want this code to populate. So when they go in the second time after making their first purchase for this senior session fee, or your CSM or CR rep is entering it in, that is where that will be. So they don't have to remember a code. You don't have to pass a piece of paper out or send an email. That will automatically populate. We do want it for single use. So what this means is that everyone that gets that session fee will get a single-use discount code that they cannot give out or go and use again when they come to make their 3rd or 4th or 5th purchase, or if they have a sibling or a friend that they would like to give it to. So we lock that down to prevent any manipulation or abuse of that. This is where your minimum order amount would be, and then this is where your discount amount would be. You notice that the discount amount matches the amount of the fee. That's 95% of the time the case. The other 5% of the time is that's your studio's discretion, whether or not how much of that they get back as a credit. But most of the time it is 100% of what they put down. So we would only want $25 to apply to the entire order. And there's no reason to set an expiration date since it is a single-use discount code. What that means is that will prevent them from being able to use it again. And when in doubt, save. One other feature about our discount codes that I would like to point out since we're here is that now we have the ability to set a free shipping discount code. What that means is that we set the shipping amount off and that it's applied to the order, but we don't apply it to the products. We will only apply it to the shipping cost. So what that means is that instead of it showing a shipping fee when to go check out, that shipping fee will now be removed. And you can also do this via handling fee as well if you apply handling. A little bit more detail is there is specific products now. So what this does is this allows this discount code to be applied to a specific package, packages, products, and it can be applied to the price sheet. So when you select it, you'll select which price sheet contains the products you would like to discount, and then you will select that package that you would like to apply. And then, like I said, always hit save. So to recap what we've just done is that we have set up a My Design to go onto our price sheet, which will fulfill to a lab product because it is your special graphic. We've also set up a session fee so that way parents can get generated discount codes on their next orders after making a purchase for their session fee. So as far as a senior, prepay, whether it's 100% of the amount off or a certain percentage of what they paid is going to be off. That is a possibility now as an option to use for our discount codes. So we've set up our price sheet. We've set up our My Design. We've got our discount codes in place. Now it's time to talk about the job. So what you'll do ahead of time is there's a few different ways that you can set up a job in Blueprint. The first way is just going through creating the general settings and having no subjects in the job. This is for a prepay scenario. This will allow you to collect orders without having to have data in the job and allow parents to prepay ahead of time. Once you've collected data, as far as a roster from the team or your school, you will import that information in. For those of you that are using our Blueprint Smart Workflow, this would be the point in time where you would go through and run your export to bring out your QR codes. So if you're using our QR code functionality, you would go through your export, you would select your QR codes, set your primary sorts, and this is based off the data you've uploaded to the job. So you see it only offers so many fields. That means it's looking for the fields that are populated. So it's not going to provide you fields that are empty, so that will skew your sorting. Once you've applied your sort, you'll continue to formatting the QR code. The most important part I tell people about this QR code is that you want to make sure the parents have the ability to order. So we're going to tell this QR code not to only read to sort the images upon photographing, we're also going to tell the QR code that we want the parents to be able to scan it and order from it from their phone. But we're going to work from the bottom up. So a little branding, I always tell people to put their website and their studio name at the footer. I always tell people to put in the gallery link and to tell people to allow for time. And that's however your turnaround time is for the studio, 48, 72, sometimes 5 business days, depending upon the images that you're doing and what work has to be done before you set them up for production. So you'll see here that there's character limits on every single line. There's a 50 character limit per line. So you have this here. When you insert a gallery link, it automatically removes that character line because this takes up that amount of space. And as you're building the QR code, you'll see here the information we are starting to populate down at the bottom. And this will just give you an idea of what each QR code will look like. Now, the most important part that I tell is that gallery link, which will enable them to scan the QR code with their phone and take them directly to the gallery from their mobile device. A few more things I would like to say is I would like to put in the job title here, just so that way we are aware if you get on site where you can have multiple shoots or multiple schools coming to you one time, you know what school that this subject belongs to. Once you've confirmed that is set up, you'll choose your destination, you'll save it, and you'll run your export. Now, this will come on sets of 3. So there's 3 QR codes per one sheet. So every 3, you'll be able to cut, sort based off of the sorting and stack settings you put into the QR code when setting it up. Now, if you're using our smart tag, that means that you are tethered to a hot folder using your capture solution, whether it be utility, EOS, Lightroom. Most important part is when you're inside your capture module is these settings that we're going to go over. So your aspect ratio sets an 8:10 aspect ratio to all the images ingested into Blueprint through capturing. So you'll make sure that if you're not capturing at an 8:10 aspect ratio, or if you already have a mask you're working with on your camera, you will remove this. So that way you ensure that you're not double cropping or providing a distortion to the image. If you're using our barcodes, our 8 up or 30 up, this is the field the barcode scanner will be looking for. So when you're going to scan and tether, you will be able to keep up with everyone using the online code. And this will ensure that nobody is missed when capturing, and this will also ensure that you can keep up with your subjects. Subject data preview is as you're scanning the QR code, it will populate the data you've collected in that roster ahead of time. So what I tell people to do is you always want to know what you're previewing. So first name, last name, any other information you see, this is showing all of the fields. What this means is that if it will show you an empty field for you to be able to collect information on site. The most important part is pointing this hot folder to the hot folder your tethered software is pointing to. So that way it can look at the same folder and ingest those images. You always want to make sure you've enabled watching. You always want to make sure you have selected that folder. Once you've made your settings set up in Smart Tag, you'll just hit exit and begin capturing. So when you scan your first barcode, you'll see the information of the subject you've scanned it for, and you can input this information here. So that way you'll be able to have this data to sync when you get back to the internet. And this will populate through all of your jobs, no matter how many people are on it. Once you're inside of the capture module and you're done, you will just hit finish and you will sync. So once that sync has taken place, it will put all your images in our archive folder and keep them there for you by the user that has photographed them. So if your studio is set up with users, this is a good way to be able to keep up with who photographed what on what day. So that way, if for some reason those images are corrupt, or if something happens to them, you know where they are in that folder and you know who took them. So as you can see here, my subject already has an order on it, and that's because I purchased a senior session fee. So once that session fee is purchased, you see it's for $25 there. You'll see that this is the subject that it's under, and this is the job ID and the job name. Pretty standard stuff for our invoices. But what you now will see is that you'll see that there's a discount code attached to my subject, because I have made that purchase ahead of time. And now when I go to checkout, I'll be able to see that discount code. I'll be able to use it when I go to checkout, and I won't have to enter it in. Now, before we move on to what that looks like in the shopping cart, let's button up a few things here on the job level. First and foremost, for those of you that are doing bulk to a school for underclass sports, go to the coach, the teacher, the yearbook admin, we want to make sure that we set that up correctly to go to the lab. So if you're holding orders for a bulk ship, you will tell them that you want to do order processing. And you will see here that this box automatically checked. That is because when you say hold order fulfillment, we automatically assume that you want to do bulk packaging. So that means that we know that every pickup order that comes through online or is entered by your CSM or CR is going to be sent to the same place as the other 50, 100, or 2,500 that are going there. Now, most people do a start direct ship date. What this means is that midnight of that date, it will enforce shipping. So the deadline for that bulk. So we would say you have 2 weeks from picture day. We were going to say August 12th is the day that direct ship will go into effect. A couple of other things to note here as well is if you want to hold direct ship orders, you can do that as well. They will not be part of the bulk. Bulk means they're going to the same place. Direct ship orders mean they are going to different locations. And you can also hold digital downloads. Now, in a prepay scenario, all of these are already held because there are no images to fulfill to anywhere. So there's nothing you need to do in a prepay scenario to prevent orders from going to the lab, because they're not going to go until an image is assigned to them. This is where you apply auto image services. And those services are either the lab services or you as a studio. This is something that will be applied to every image that is ordered, not every image in the gallery, but every image that is ordered. This will allow you to be able to apply any basic retouching that the parent isn't supposed to pay for, but will look good on the imprint. Now, our shopping cart settings is where all the magic happens for that bulk processing. So when you go to your shipping and your handling, this is where you will tell that you want this to be a pickup at location. So that means whatever location this is, school, and this can be anything that you want it to be. It can be school or studio or coach. So that will allow parents to know, especially based off the job type they're ordering from, where they're going to with that order. Your minimum order amount, shipping label, and shipping rate. Now, your shipping rate is automatically going to apply once that direct ship date has passed. So once it becomes August 12th at midnight, mom will go on, she'll go to place her order, and that $6 will automatically be enforced because we've told the job to start that direct shipping. So always make sure that you have your bulk and your hold direct order, your hold for bulk processing set on the job, and that your shopping cart setting attached to that job is always pick up at location. Because once that date has passed, there'll be no feature, no automation, there'll be no interference from the studio needed to be able to make sure that those orders go to the parents directly. So let's bring this full circle. We've got everything set up. We're ready for our job. We know that I have purchased a session fee. So we're going to go online and we're going to view this in the browser. Now, I've already done the due diligence of opening this up. So once you click on that shopping cart icon, it will bring you to the browser that you have currently open. So see, there's me there. You see here that that session fee is missing, and that's because we don't want it online. We've hit it. The only people that can see it are the CSM and the CR. Your freebie item is here, your add-ons, your a la carte, and your packages. So exactly how it is laid out on your price sheet. You can't get into these two until you've made a purchase from one of these. So we're just going to make this pretty easy. I'm going to select an a la carte. I'm going to spend the $35 for this 8x10. Yes. And we're going to go to add-ons. I'm going to get another 8 5x7s because I like this one. This is great. So we're going to go to add to cart. We're going to hit OK. And we're going to hit checkout. So, I see. Thanks everyone for letting me know. I appreciate that. Hold on. Let me go here, new share. There we go. Thanks for that information. So what will happen is this will be selected. You'll see here that I already have items in my cart, which causes this to populate that auto generation code right here. So what that will do is again, that will just prevent all of the parents from having to remember this code, or you as the studio having to pass these codes out. So that way they can come in, and that's a seamless process to be able to order, get it sent to the lab, and then get it back to them as soon as possible. Once this is done, you'll just proceed to checkout. You'll see that this discount code will stay there, and then they would proceed with their billing information. Now, I'm going to go back to share to Blueprint. And we're going to see here that this discount code will still be here. Once that new order is placed, that order will appear here under the subject. So you'll see a different date and time for that order and the total for it. So with that being said, everyone, that's just kind of a beginner's guide as to what to look for when you're setting up a job for Blueprint to get ready for the fall or any season, really, to make sure that everything's automated and good to go. So if anyone has any questions, now is the time to go ahead and do it. We've allotted for about 10 minutes for Q&A. So I'll be happy to take any questions.